The small amplifier market, in many ways, has taken hold of HIFI. They're space-saving, often feature-packed, and with the right speakers, can be surprisingly good sounding, and some of them are even a bargain by traditional hi-fi standards. Honestly, the hardest part is maybe choosing the right one for you and your specific needs, which is why today I'm going to break down the pros and cons of my favorite small amps in 2025 so that I can, hopefully help you to decide which one may be right for you. Kicking things off with a new amp from one of my favorite amplifier brands, Rotel, is the DX5, a Class AB integrated amplifier that departs from the brand's traditional standard with casework for a more compact design. Now, of all the amps that we're looking at today, this one feels the most premium. Despite being a pint-sized amp, you still get the brand's classic all-metal casework, simple design, and plug-and-play interface that they're known for. Now, notable features of the DX5 include a 32-bit built-in DAC, Bluetooth with aptX HD and AAC support, coaxial and optical inputs, USB, a full-size headphone jack, and my favorite feature of all, HDMI with ARC and CEC support. There's also a dedicated subwoofer output, giving you the flexibility of a 2.1 setup. When it comes to power, the Rotel packs 25 watts into 8 ohms and 33 watts into 4. Now that may not sound like much power, but it was more than enough to drive the Sonos Faber Lumina 2s, the Klipsch Cornwall 4s, the new La Scalas, and our favorite budget speaker, the ELAC Debut 3s. I even torture tested the amp on the Arundel 1528 towers we have in for review, and while I would not ultimately pair this particular Rotel with the Arundels compared to the other amps you're going to see in a moment, this one managed to eke out a bit more finesse from top to bottom from the massive 1528s. That experiment aside, the DX5 sound was notably fuller, more dimensional than almost all the other amps on this list, save for maybe the Ruark Audio R610 and the Marantz Model M1, which I'm going to get to in a bit. So why choose the Rotel over the competition? Well, the Class AB DX5 plays to its strength, simplicity and high quality sound. It'll pair well with a wide range of speakers, everything from high efficiency speakers like those from Klipsch to, bookshelf speakers like the ELACs, SVS Nanos, or Wharfedale Super Dentons, making for a fine sounding, easy to use, and compact 2-channel or hybrid stereo home theater. The only thing that's missing is built-in streaming or a music streamer and a phono preamp. Next up is an amp from Ruark Audio. After playing with a number of their products this year, the R610 encapsulates everything the brand is about while giving you the flexibility to add your favorite loudspeakers, when building a stereo setup. Now, for those of you who may want to take the guesswork out of system building, check out their all-inclusive, all-in-one console stereo, the R810. While the 610 is the priciest option on this list, it's also one of the most capable. It delivers 75 watts per channel in Class D and is packed with features including a built-in DAC, digital inputs, a built-in phono preamp, something the Rotel was missing, subwoofer and preamp outs, HDMI and wireless connectivity, not to mention multi-room or whole home audio chops whenever paired with other Ruark products. It also has built-in streaming, which you can navigate using the color screen, and its stylish remote or top-mounted controls. The Ruark's Class D amp design sounded surprisingly similar to the Rotel, which, remember, is Class AB that uses a toroidal transformer. The R610 had greater control over difficult-to-drive woofers like those in the Cornwall 4, and for a Class D amp, it had more body in the mid-range and a slightly softer treble, making its overall tone feel less clinical than the other Class D amps featured in this video. It even survived my Arundel 1528 torture test. What the R610 doesn't have is an app. Despite having built-in music streaming and a high-quality screen, you're going to find yourself having to navigate your music services through their third-party apps or by manually using the amp's stylish but not so intuitive remote control. It does have a nice screen, and that's great for showcasing artwork or maybe clock graphics, and you can access the amp's menu options and make track selections this way, but you really do need to be physically standing in front of it to do so. Despite the amp receiving several design awards for its product design and remote layout, I actually found them to be more gimmicky than functional. In fact, throughout all of my testing, I often found myself wishing that the 610 and just other products from Ruark had more traditional remote controls or a standalone app like the remaining products on our list. All that said, if you prioritize sound quality above all else and want a piece with a bit more decorative charm, the R610 is still worth a look. Just know that at $1,900, you are paying a little bit of a premium for its visual appeal, one that doesn't always translate into that premium user experience. While the Rotel and Ruark products may be stripped down sound-first small amps, the Eversolo Play is quite the opposite. The Eversolo Play comes in two versions, with and without a built-in CD player. Now, I have the non-CD version, which retails for just under $700. The CD option is going to cost you an additional $100, which isn't bad considering the Play ranks among the more do-it-all audio products currently on the market. And when I say do-it-all, I mean it. The Play isn't just an amp, it's a fully integrated system that combines an amplifier, DAC, music streamer, and DSP all in one box. It handles pretty much every format you can throw at it, from vinyl to digital streaming, with a built-in phono preamp for your turntable and support for all of the major streaming services, including the elusive Apple Music. Plus, it gives you real control over your sound with tools like EQ, PEQ, and even room correction to fine-tune your system to your space. The Play is a Class D design that produces 60 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 110 watts into 4. Though I have to point out, as with other small chip-based Class D amps like the WiiM or anything from Fosse, depending on the input signal, the complexity of your source material, and the loudspeakers you may use, the Eversolo's power ratings may not be 100% real world, and listeners could, emphasis on could, run into headroom issues. It drove our Lumina 2s just fine. However, if you can believe it, the amp struggled with the Klipsch Cornwalls and La Scala and was an absolute no-go on the Arundels, which shouldn't surprise anyone. With some source material and the Eversolo set to full volume, the Play only reached about 80 dB in room, which is loud, but not the type of loud as to typically cause amplifier clipping or distortion, and that's what happened with the Eversolo Play. This was especially true of signals or source material transmitted over HDMI. Now, when I used the Play's built-in streamer, I did not experience the same headroom or volume issues. Yes, that means the Play has an HDMI input with ARC, but limited CEC support, which when used along with its subwoofer output, internal bass management, and simple app-based room correction, turns the Play into a 2.1 home theater. The Play does not have a traditional remote. Instead, every aspect of it is controlled through its app or its large color touchscreen. I happen to love the Eversolo app, though I fully admit to you, it has a pretty substantial learning curve, which takes some getting used to. To quote Doug DeMuro, once you learn the app's quirks and features, it's remarkable how much control Eversolo gives users over virtually every aspect of the listening experience. I'm talking about customization not readily found in products costing 10 times as much. And while some of you will love all of the control this amp offers, if you don't know what you're doing, you can easily overdo it with the adjustments and risk turning the experience or making your system sound worse. For those looking for a straightforward plug-and-play user experience, you'll probably be happier with any one of the other amps mentioned in this video. But for those who really like to, get into the weeds and make products their very own, the Play is arguably the only option on this list for you. Of course, this small amp list would not be complete without the WiiM amp. It's definitely the amp the other brands are chasing to steal market share, and for good reason. It's popular, and when paired with the right speakers, it can sound pretty good. Similar to the Eversolo Play, the WiiM amp's power limitations mean it won't be able to drive every loudspeaker on the market, even with its available 60 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 120 watts into 4. If you haven't yet watched our full review of the WiiM amp, it's out there ready and waiting for you. As for this new round of testing, the WiiM didn't fail any of our test speakers per se, but it didn't control them, as well as, say, the Marantz Model M1, Rotel, or Ruark. That said, I preferred the sound of the WiiM to that of the ultra-clinical Eversolo at volumes below 85 dB in room and when driving two-way bookshelf speakers like our Lumina 2s, though both amps are more neutral and clean sounding. For those concerned about the WiiM amp's power capabilities or limitations, I'm told the newer and more expensive WiiM Amp Ultra addresses these potential issues. At $530, the Ultra has more features and control, plus a full color touchscreen. Now, I have not tested the Ultra, so I can't say whether these claims of improved performance are true. But getting back to the original WiiM, this amp is still loaded with features, all accessible through its app, making it more user-friendly than the Eversolo Play. Apple users and fans of music services like Spotify should find the WiiM amp very easy to navigate. Now, there is no screen of any kind, so you do need to keep your phone handy to fully interact with the WiiM. For those of you who may be app-phobic, this amp does come with a basic remote that lets you control things like, volume, select tracks, and switch sources. Of course, if you pair the WiiM with a TV using HDMI, your TV remote, or in our case, our Apple TV remote, can take control of the WiiM's power and volume thanks to the amp's full control over HDMI, something the Eversolo Play oddly lacks. In other words, you can control volume with the Play, but you can't power the Eversolo Play on and off using HDMI, which is just weird. The last amp on the list is the Marantz Model M1. I firmly believe that the M1 is one of the most significant products the brand has produced in the past, decade. It's a near perfect summation of all of the products on this list, combining the more stable power and hi-fi sound of the Rotel and Ruark products with many of the same features and control options of the WiiM and Eversolo. No surprises here, the M1 is my go-to small amp and arguably my quote budget reference. It had zero issues driving any of our test speakers, including the Arendals. Its HDMI functionality remains flawless with no headroom or input signal issues to report. And I get it. HEOS is hit or miss with people. Whatever side you fall on, the streaming music platform still gives users access to services like Tidal, Spotify, and more. And I think it gets better with each new upgrade, and I happen to also think it is comparable, if not competitive, with WiiM. Plus, its latest update unlocked DIAGNOSTICS capability. Yes, DIAGNOSTICS is still going to cost you an additional $249, but I think the results make the extra cost well worth it. I have zero hesitation in recommending the M1, and of all the options on this list, it's the one I turn to for my own personal enjoyment. So the M1, that wraps up our 2025 small amp list. What did you guys think? I know there's like a million more small amps on the market, so I was bound to leave one or two or 1,000 off. So why don't you tell me which small amp you prefer and why you prefer it so that we can get the conversation going down below and help other people who may be on the market. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember, the only person who has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.